meeting order, roll call, please.
Kim Brown.
Here.
Stephanie Darrow.
Here.
Matt Peters. Here. Brett Nola.
Here.
Brandon Williams. Here.
Mr. Fowler, release the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is the pledge. Okay, I'd like to thank all our visitors for coming here this evening, and do you have any public participation at this time?
I think Mrs. Dodge wanted to approach us and talk about a possible FBLA
Okay.
trip to Canada, and I believe that's 2016 summer.
Correct, yes. Thank you for letting me come to you tonight. I wanted to just approach you and see whether you would be on board with my taking business students next summer to Canada for a trip that would focus on international business, currency exchanges, just how businesses operate, et cetera, et cetera. What I have been working with is a company that specializes in student trips with the teachers accompanying them. They have compiled everything we would either want to do. It would be a week long. We would be flying out of St. Louis. Cost to the students would be about $1,821. All of it would be fundraised. So none of it would be coming out of any of the budget expenses whatsoever. I already have 5 students who have actually already put down deposits that the company said they will more than gladly refund should the board decide this would not be a good idea, that they would refund all of it. But 5 students that have already gone on board, and I've got several others that are expressing some interest. So once they all get signed up, then that's when I will start with a lot more of the different fundraising. I've had a couple of the mothers actually come on board too and say they would like to join, and they've offered some fundraising ideas, like trivia nights and things like that that might generate a little more income. But this would be specifically for FBLA members, the Future Business Leaders of America, so they would have to be a member of that club to participate, and they would have to help in fundraise, and they would be then accompanying us.
How many would you take?
At this point, I don't really have a limit on it because I haven't had an extraordinary amount of interest. I would like to take no more than 6 or 7 per chaperone.
How many are in your group? Do you know?
There are about 25 members in the club right now, but because this would be next summer of 2016, that would include perhaps an incoming freshman. So I don't know what that's on for just yet.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
Did you get the information that I provided for you? Okay. It was just kind of an overview. I wanted you to at least have some of the basic information about what it's about, who is sponsoring it, that.
Some advisement we discussed over the coming months here. Here we go.
Do you have a deadline to when you have to respond?
I don't have to respond, well, let me rephrase that. I'm hoping that I can respond by April 1. However, they are okay with if I need to extend it, I'm supposed to let them know, give them another date by which they can be notified. This company wants to have their revenue sale or whatever, but if the students decide this month, they're only going to charge them $15 for an enrollment fee, so the students are kind of anxious to get it going.
Wait until, okay,
What's administration's take on this? You want to do this first and see how many participants we get?
I think I would recommend you probably hold off until make a decision. Make sure Steve can come and participate in the job. Maybe talk a little bit more about it.
and have you settled specifically with one company, or is there one that you may also?
Actually, I had settled with the City One company, and just this morning, I got information from another one that I had spoken to in the past regarding a different trip, and they gave me a price on this one, which is actually more stops, a couple more days, and more informative, and it's actually $400 to $500 cheaper. So I'm looking to switch it completely over to that one. And I totally understand where Mr. Fowler's coming from through, but I also say, a lot of the parents are saying, we're not going to commit until we know the board's okay with it as well. So just, in due time.
Is it possible to bring specific numbers or give us specific numbers to look at the next meeting?
As far as
cost
enrollments,
and enrollment,
cost actually is 1821, exactly.
but with this other outfit, did you
That
say
is
would be?
That's the new, 1821 is the new one. Out of St. Louis, it pays for everything except for lunches and souvenirs that they want to spend money on. So it's 24-hour security, 24-hour tourist led, or I'm sorry, coordinator led in that area. Many of the sites, including Niagara Falls and many of the other historical things there. It just everything combined, insurance, security, everything.
Well, we put that on the April agenda then, and is that okay with everyone, or, Brad, let's just kind of run the board, what do you think?
Yeah.
What about Brad? Mike?
Yeah, I think we should do it now, but yeah, I'm okay with it. Yeah.
Say April.
Okay, very good. Any questions?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Consent agenda. Anyone have any questions or comments? Administration on consent agenda? Ron, entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion made by Kim, is there a second? Second by Stephanie. Call roll, please.
Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stiles.
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero,
Yes.
Pat Peters, yes, Brett Santola,
Yes.
Larry Williams.
Yes. Okay, superintendent's report, Mr. Fowler, Mr. Meadows.
I just wanted to talk very briefly about the painting project that's been going on in the hallway. I think everybody probably noticed that as they walked in. David Campbell's been working on this main hallway all the way up through the foyer in front of the gym, and it looks fantastic. He did a lot of patchwork and then also the painting and the stripes, and it does look really nice. It's amazing what a coat of paint will do, and hopefully maybe we can keep painting because it looks outstanding.
Okay. Any questions or comments on that? School board election process, Mr. Fowler.
As you know, April 7th will be the school board election day, and what we'll have to do is set a special board meeting. I have that on the agenda under new business, so that the school board can reorganize, appoint for officers, and officially, of course, seat the members. With April 7th being the date of the election, by law, the county clerk has 21 days following that to canvass the votes. And so if you schedule a reorganizational meeting prior to that 21-day period, you put probably a cramp on the county clerk getting the official results. Now, he may have them done as early as April 10th, but by law, he doesn't have to have them done for 21 days. So that brings you out to April 28th. Within 7 days, you getting the official ballots, then you have to have your reorganizational meeting. And so you go 7 days out, you can go as far out as 28th of April for 7 days. I'm recommending, and under new business, that we set April 29th, that's on a Wednesday. It'll be 2 weeks after the regular April board meeting, and I recommend at that time you have a special meeting and go ahead and seat the members of the board. And also at that time, you'll need to elect board officers. So just to give you an update, we'll ask for action to be taken on that during new business. But that's the reasoning for that day.
Questions or comments on that? Okay, thank you, Mr. Fowler. Anything else under superintendent report?
Yes, on the state budget process,
we wind down. I gave you some information on where the state of Illinois is right now. And as you know, the governor has already done a budget recommendation for FY16. But before we get to FY16, we need to think about the rest of FY15. And as you know, the state is about $1.6 million in the hole for FY16 to get through the year. We still have 3 months or so left to get through FY15. And if you've read the paper, there was a report that came out that said the governor is facing a $1.7 billion hole, and that's going to have to try to be made up. If you'll remember, the 2011 temporary income tax under Pat Quinn was rolled back, and so a revenue stream dried up, and now the state will feel the effects of that in these last 3 months. Governor Rauner has come out and said there is a possibility that the state services will need to take a 2.25% decrease to help close that $1.6 billion budget hole. And that's going to be, if that happens, that's going to be bad news for us, all school districts, and everybody else that relies on state funding. For us, I did some calculating. The potential impact for the remainder of this school year, we could see our general state aid decreased by another $31,441. Now, if it was just $31,441, that'd be okay. But if you'll remember, before day one of this school year, we were already rated 11% on our general state aid. That cost us $153,000 before we even opened the doors on July 1st. So now we're going to come back possibly and take another 2.25% hit with that. Then we look at the possibility, as I've said, transportation. We may look at missing our last special ed transportation payment. That would run about just under $40,000. Regular ed transportation, we may miss the last payment at $65,000. And then some of the lesser hits, special ed $2,000, driver's ed a couple $100, and special ed personnel about $755. So if you put all that together for, if the governor's plan goes through and the legislature agrees with that 2.25 hit, we're going to be looking at close to $140,000 additional loss in FY15. So we're going to have to keep our eyes on that. I'm counting on getting 3 transportation payments for this year. Originally, I thought we might be 2, and we still may get 2. But according to the state board, the 3rd payment is scheduled to be released. But it's going to be close. I think if we get the 3rd payment, it will come at maybe the 11th hour in June. You know, we said we may not get 3. We're supposed to get 4. I said 2 originally is what we were being told, but the 3rd one is scheduled. So we may or may not, but if we don't get that 3rd one, then add another 100,000, we'll lose on revenue. So just to kind of let you know where we are with that. I gave you a sheet of paper from the Illinois Association of School Board, School Administrators, and it's interesting because their advice to school districts. They're telling us that we need to conserve cash, which we've been doing. Johnny Carson used to have this character called Karnak, for those of you that remember, and he could see into the future. Well, I think our board has kind of been like Karnak. because the moves that they're recommending, we've done. We are conserving cash, and we've tried to cut spending. They said to look at options to access cash, like making contingency plans for borrowing. It was a couple years ago, if you remember, that basically at the 11th hour, our bond window, you guys stepped out and you garnered $1 million for a rainy day. Well, the drops are starting to fall, and I think by your proactive plans, it has helped to solidify us for this day. So, forward thinking, that's a good thing you guys did. And then they've got some other things about like our transportation, they said to be cautious with that. We just entered into a contract for transportation next year that's going to be actually less than this year, so that was a good move. Healthcare, we're part of the Egyptian Trust Consortium to keep costs reasonable, and that was a good move. You know, we did that. So I think you guys have done a good job as far as forward thinking and preparing for the worst of times. Because if you remember, probably 2 or 3 years ago, I said bad times are coming, and you guys stepped out on faith and you took the steps to shore up the district. And we may see the fruition of that now. You know, for these districts waited until the floods started, the rain started, they're not going to be in as good a shape as we are. Now, as far as FY16 goes, I gave you the ISBE FY16 budget recommendation and Governor Rounder's recommendation. But keep in mind, it's very early in the process. State Board's given theirs, and Rounder's given his. So we've got Madigan and company that's going to now give theirs. And from what we're hearing, we probably won't have a state budget deal by May 31st. There's a good chance that it's going to be an overtime legislature this time. And Madigan has said that there can be a realistic budget for FY16 without additional revenue. And I think begrudgingly, Governor Rauner is seeing that. And so they're looking at what do we do to get this additional revenue. There are some things that's being kicked around. One is to revisit the December, the 2011 tax rate, maybe go ahead and reinstitute at least a portion of that. A second thing is they're looking at possibly taxing previously untaxed pensions as a possibility. And then they're also, Governor Rauner seems to be looking pretty hard at extending a sales tax on services in addition to goods. So when you go get your haircut, there'll be another 8% on top of it. So those types of things. So at any rate, it looks like we will be forming our budgets and having less knowledge than we normally do. We already don't have much knowledge on the budget with the way things shake out. But FY16 could be very interesting. And we're going to look long and hard for it and take place. I think that's all my blowing news.
Yeah, thanks. Any questions or comments on this? Anybody? Thank you, Mr. Bell. Anything else? Okay. Director's report, Mr. Field.
We're just finishing up with our park testing this week, which is taking place of our previous testings. It's the new thing. Kids have been finishing up. We had 3 units of reading and 2 units of math we've been doing for the performance-based assessment, which is this midpoint testing, and then we'll have an end of the year later on, starting about April 27th, I believe, is when we're supposed to kick up. And, things have been going pretty smooth. It's, basically we've been doing paper-based testing, and it's really not a whole lot different from what we did with the ISAT in terms of the middle school and stuff. Multiple choice, and there's, I think, some more extended response from the examples and things that I've seen. And we'll see how it turns out, what it looks like. They've done some pilots on the test, but it's really an untested test. We're kind of guinea pigs right now. We've heard some predictions here. Just yesterday, I know Mr. Trigg was at a conference, and the head legal expert at the Illinois Principals Association predicts that it's been invested in. He does not predict it to be around in the next 2 years. So he thinks we'll take it this year and next year, and then it'll be on probably to greener pastures, as it were, with our state assessment testing. And we're going to have something always. There's been something since the Elementary and Secondary Education Act was passed back in the 60s initially. It's always been tied to some kind of accountability measure. That is a snapshot. It's one test. And depending on how your kids test at that time, during that week, during that day, during that hour and a half that they take that section of the test, and you see those results for that moment in time. I shared some articles with the board. I believe I shared with Mr. Fowler. I shared with the board since the last meeting and into this meeting. I've also got those on my webpage at Sangamon Valley Middle School. Or if you want to look at them, I put links to all those articles on there that give a lot more information about aptitude tests versus achievement tests and what standardized testing is, so on and so forth, how the scores are measured and what they show. And I think we have some rhetoric on there and some commentary from the Secretary of Education, some other people out there that have a lot to say about it. And we've got a lot of hot button topics right now revolving around test scores and the standardized testing we take every year. And all I can tell you is I'm not saying that I'm not trying to discount any of those tests or anything else, but they're not really of use to us. We take them. We're held accountable to take them. It's mandated. We take it once a year. We usually upset the instruction in our time to teach the students for a good 2 weeks, if not more, in order to take these tests. And then we get the results in June or later. And by that time, the school year's over and we're on to the next school year. And there's not a whole lot of usable information that we have there. So it doesn't really do us a whole lot of good to see. It's a measuring stick for everybody to, I guess, evaluate your district or your school or your student based on how they did that day. All kinds of factors can contribute to the success or the not so success that student sees when they take that. And that's why within education, I was just talking to some board members before, about we were having a curriculum meeting. We were discussing kind of how we determine class placement coming to high school at 8th grade. Said, one of the things we look at is we look at a standardized test that we give. And it's a test that we get instantaneous results on. That we actually take this test, and when we use now, we take it 3 times a year. And we can see students' growth. We can see, compared to how they did in the fall and the spring and the winter, what those scores tell us. If we see massive jumps, we maybe see that they didn't try very hard this time. Maybe we saw that much growth by the instruction they're getting. We see lots of things with those, and they're very useful information. We take other assessments. We assess constantly. That's what we do as teachers. We assess every single day, every single week. We're constantly assessing, and we use those assessments to guide our instruction and see what our kids need. And we know the kids. We know what the kids need by looking at that information. We know what those kids need by how they're participating in class, by one-on-one discussions we have, by small group discussions that we have with them. We know those kids because we spend 7 hours a day, 5 days a week with them. It's something the test can't do. We look at those tests. We also look at how those students participate in class in order to determine what class they're going to be in. We look at their grades. We look at what we think they can handle. We look at how much we can throw at them. we look at maybe what extra supports we need to give them. Because my God knows, there are folks out there that need extra help. There's some folks out there that we need to push. We need to balance every one of them. We need to think about every one of them. That's something to think about. I can talk just about a few assessments I've given in the last couple weeks. You know, we've had some tests going on. We've been given the park test, you know, that's been going on. I gave a suicide risk assessment one day last week. I had a lot of conversations with different students who are self-harming. I talked to some folks about things going on at home that's maybe not so great. I talked about some folks that are not living in their home right now with their parents. You know, these are assessments. I talked to my teachers about what kids need, about what we got to do to get them what they need, to get them where they need to be, to make them want to be successful, to motivate them to do something with their lives. What we got to do to build relationships with them. I've had to do an assessment with the, you know, with the student who's you know, been very troubled and has, you know, has got to look at a different part of his education now. You know, that's not fun stuff, you know, but it's stuff that we have to do, it's assessments that we have to make. And there's a lot of things out there. There's a lot of things that go into, you know, what we do every single day. And you know, I know how hard these teachers, and we got some of them here tonight, you know, I know how hard these teachers work. They come in and they work their guts out every single day. These administrators come in there and they give everything they've got every single day. And we're not just dealing with math or reading or science. You know, we're not just dealing with how good the track team's doing or the basketball team. It's a whole lot of stuff, folks. And you know, frankly, there's a whole lot more to life than you know what score we get on the state test this year. There's a whole lot more to life than, you know, whether or not we got our homework done this week. And you know, and I hate, you know, I mean, as an educator, you know, I feel homework's important. You know, I feel how well we apply ourselves is important. You know, I feel that doing our best to help these students not just be the best academics that they can be is important. I feel that it is very important for us to help them to build their character, to reinforce those good things they're seeing at home, to give them access to maybe some stuff that they're not seeing at home. And those are things that we have to assess constantly. Now, you know, you can't, you're not probably going to see in the paper how you know you had a kid fail one year and then the next year he's a student of the month, or that he's not getting any D's or F's. You're not going to see a score in the paper that that shows you that this student actually likes to come to school, and the school is the safest place that they are at all day long. You're not going to read that in the paper. It's not good. It's not very newsworthy. The feel-good section is pretty darn small in the newspaper. It's a pretty short segment at the very end of the nightly news. You know, and the only way we get there is for all of us to work together and to, you know, look past certain things, to look into others. You know, and so, you know, I'm pretty happy that we're just about done with park testing at this juncture, because we do have another round of it coming up. And, you know, I'm sure, you know, that I really feel like that the kids are going to do their very best, and that's all I ask of them. I don't care how well they do. I just want them to try. You know, and I want them to try at everything. I want them to try at life. I just want them to do their best, and I want them to contribute to their families. I want them to contribute to society. I want them to contribute to their community. I want them to know how to work well with others. I want them to have good manners. I want them to feel loved. Not everybody gets that. Not everybody gets that opportunity in life. And, you know, sometimes I think we're a little short-sighted on that. You know, it happens to all of us in many different respects. But You know, I don't know if that covers everything. I don't really have anything planned this evening to talk about on this, but I just kind of, you know, wanted to say my take on that. That's how I feel it's going. And to tell you quite, you know, God's honest truth is I have sorted these over the last couple of days, and as I prepare to get together to the administrators and mail these off for the whole district, you know, and really it's been something that's just really been more of something, you know, to kind of keep me, I guess, busier than I would be typically. You know, I'm swimming in these tests and these boxes in my office right now. I got kids coming in, and I'm looking around boxes. Hey, can you see me there? I got to talk to you. Let's move over here. Maybe we'll go in the other office. So, you know, it's just something else to consume time for me right now. I got a lot more important things I can be doing than, you know, worrying if, you know, I got a minutes for the park test, or, you know, did everybody get breakfast today for the park test? You know, I don't care about that unless you have breakfast. I don't care if I'm going to test or not. You know, but you know, I'm glad that it's almost over right now. Quite true. I want to get the boxes out. I want to get the kids in. I want to get the kids back to having their regular time classes every day, learning the lessons that the teachers worked so hard to plan and to differentiate and to reteach them and to give them more time on, to push those harder that need to be pushed. Because they're doing it, folks. These people are doing great things every single day of the week. And I don't just mean they're doing great things, you know, and they're going to get a good score on a test. I mean, they're doing great things. They are changing lives every single day. And they're not just making kids better at math or reading. They're making them want to come to school. They're making them want to do something with their life. They're building relationships with them, which is the, honest to God, number one thing we can do as educators, as parents, as people, is to build those relationships, to put that integrity and that character in these folks. Because, and I tell you what, in 20 years, what they got on the park test in third grade isn't going to mean a whole heck of a lot. And there's going to be a different test by that time. And they're probably not even going to use that score anymore. You know, and those folks are going to go, and some of them are going to have, you know, really good jobs, working in a factory, working on a farm. You know, their park test isn't going to matter. Those folks are going to have master's degrees. They're going to have doctorates. They're going to be lawyers. They're going to be doing wonderful things to make all our lives better. And it's not going to matter what their score was at that time. Will open some doors somehow, I'm sure. You do better on it. Yeah, that's great. Good for you. That's awesome. But, you know, you got to take it for what it is. And like I said, with anything, we don't look at just one thing. You got to look at a lot of different stuff. But anyway, that's all I got. I'm going to shut up because I know we got a long agenda anyway. So I just, sometimes I get going, I just can't. My mom said I've been really good, you know, well enough along a lot of times. So that's probably just another indicator of that. So
Thanks for your comments. Any of the other administrators have anything want to add to this? No, it's not.
I think it's hard, we have to justify it as much as we have to do to a lot of people. You know, I've been around this district for about 7 months, and I can figure out in 7 minutes how much the teachers here care. And small community, people got to start realizing it's not 3 communities, it's 1 community working towards 1 goal. And as soon as we swallow that, we'll be able to tackle a lot more problems that we're facing right now. Mr. Field said earlier, it's going to overcompensate ourselves, but that's where I'm at with it. I know the teachers, my teachers, are to the point I get speeches where we're fed up with having to justify the work they do every day.
I feel blessed that we have them. We've got a wonderful staff. Wonderful staff. I mean, they really, honest to God, care about these kids.
Thanks for your comments. Board, anything else? What, do we have students?
We do have a couple students, actually, the ones that actually have got their hands dirty taking this park test. Drew, Gabby,
are you?
You're the guinea pig, but actually.
Why don't you stand with your back to the wall so everybody can hear you there? Everybody sneak up.
I don't know how to start this, so I'm just gonna go ahead and say that all the teachers that I've gotten to know over the past 12 years have really been a big influence in my life, and I feel like the ones that I've really gotten to know that I've had over the years, I can really go and talk to them about anything. There's not one teacher in this district that I don't think would help a kid with their problem, and I guess that we really shouldn't be blaming teachers if our scores are low, is my kind of understanding. It's really the kids want to get a good score on the test is really what's getting our scores low, because there are kids in our school that do not want to get a good grade on this test because they don't think it's important. So you can't really blame a teacher for students want to not get a good score. And I guess back whenever I was in middle school and we were taking ISATs, all the teachers tried to, have like parties and have good games and stuff. Or if you tried to participate in the test, you got to go to the dance party on Friday if you got all your tickets after each test or something like that. It's been 4 years. A lot of stuff's happened. Had to change these things. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that the teachers here are trying their best, but some students have decided not to try their best, and you can't really blame anyone but them for that.
I agree with that. I sat next to 3, 4 multiple kids during ACT that marked stuff, didn't even care to shut their books, and then they And that upsets me because we have so many people that want to blame the teachers, want to blame the staff, want to blame the board, want to blame whoever, but you can't just blame people. You have to find a problem, fix it, help the kids that need help, because like Mr. Field said, there's other issues that they just don't know how to fix it. They have maybe back home stuff outside of school, and this is where we can help them the most, is with everyone they deal with at school, including the teachers. I have become very close with probably more teachers than I have my peers. They've all helped me so much, and I know last year was difficult. ACT math was because of we did get a new teacher in the middle of the year and all that, but I don't think that really negatively affected me on my testing. It's just lack of effort from students who think it's okay not to try because they don't think about how it negatively affects all of us and how it just puts in people's minds that it's the teachers. And I don't want to completely blame the students like, oh, it's their fault that we have the best scores that we do. But it's a big part when we don't try.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. Any other business? New business. Serious needs for 15-16. Now, you want this, reorganization first? Reorganization,
Down, item M.
Okay.
And just go ahead and follow the agenda.
Right, okay, consider fees for 2015-2016.
The fee schedule that we had for the past year was the same that we had back in 2012, 2013 school year. The fees have stayed the same. I'm going to recommend that we keep the fees the same for the next school year. If you have questions on individual fees, I'll be more than happy to answer those. But I know that our free and reduced numbers seem to continue to increase each year, which those students, because of financial reasons, are exempt from not only school lunch fees, but also We waive their textbook fees, driver's ed, even their athletic fees. So it seems like the burden is pushed off on fewer and fewer people, and to raise those fees down, I think that makes sense. So I'm going to recommend that we just leave the fees.
Okay, my board, any questions or comments about this? Not, need a motion to keep all school fees for 2015-2016 school year the same rate as for the 14-15 school year. So, motion made by Thad, seconded by Ken. Call the roll, please.
Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stowe,
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero,
Yes.
Pat Peters, yes, Brett Santola,
Yes.
Larry Williams.
Yes. Consider renewal of membership on IHSA annual thing we do.
Yeah, this is something we do every year about this time. There's no cost to the district, just to be a member of the IHSA and take part in their playoff series, the regional, that sort of thing. So, again, no cost to the district. I recommend that we renew our membership to IHSA.
Okay, right here, make a motion on that. Motion made by Mike Stahl, seconded by Brad Santola. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Award fuel bid for 15-16.
I had a bid opening March 13th, or March 11th. Moved the bid process for fuel up a little bit this year. And that was in an effort to capture fuel prices at a low point. And I think it's paid off. We had 3 people bid on the fuel. Evergreen FS was the low bid, and since it's above the $25,000, you're under bid requirements, you have to take the lowest responsible bid. Evergreen FS came in propane $1.15 a gallon for the propane. And then Morgan Distributing, they came in the low price on diesel and unleaded. Diesel at $2.35 and unleaded at $2.082. They were the low bids for this time around. In comparison, the winning bid for 14-15 propane was $1.52. And the winning bid for diesel in 14-15 was $3.062. So, and then the winning bid at 14-15 for unleaded was $2.855. So we did very well on the bids for fuel for FY16. And I would recommend the board to go ahead and move on these contracts and go ahead and award accordingly.
Do you, just off the top of your head or somewhere in the paperwork there, any idea how much money that actually saved us on it?
I don't have that figure. I was just pleased with the base bid. Like I said, propane from $1.52 to $1.15. We went diesel from $3.06 to $2.35, and unleaded when it went from $2.85 to $2.08. So if you think about that and how much our bus is using fuel, and we should cut our fuel costs in FY16 quite a bit.
That's good. Questions, comments from the board on this? Not, need a motion to award diesel at $2.35 a gallon. It's fixed price, correct?
It is a fixed price. I told them in the bid specs that I wasn't interested in any kind of escalator clause. What they came in and bid it at was what we should end at.
Okay.
And so all 3 of them were responsive to that request.
Okay, we need a motion to award the diesel at $2.35 per gallon fixed price and unleaded gasoline fuel at $2.082 per gallon fixed price contract with Morgan Distributing Company for the 15-16 school year. Motion made by Mike Stoll, seconded by Kim. Call roll, please.
Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stowe, yes, Stephanie Guerrero,
Yes.
Pat Peters, yes, Brett Santola,
Yes.
Larry Williams.
Yes. Need a motion to award the propane same as fixed.
Yes, it is.
Okay. It's not, that's asked, it's not a motion. Need a motion to award the propane contract to Evergreen FS for the 2015-2016 school year. Motion made by Brad, second by Stephanie. Call roll, please.
Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stowe,
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero,
Yes.
Adam Peters, yes. Bradley Boyd,
Yes.
Derek Bailey's yes.
Okay. Consider awarding tile project at middle school.
I was alerted, probably about a month ago by Mr. Fields that we were starting to have some tiling issues over at the middle school. There were a couple stairways over there and a couple landings where the tiling had started to come loose. And I saw that and we were concerned that it was a hazard for the kids. And so we went ahead, we got AAA asbestos folks to come in and do an abatement on those tiles and remove them. But due to the fact that we're not going to be able to use those stairs while the tiling is being done, we've not put down tile yet. Right now it's concrete. We went ahead and contacted 2 different vendors to provide quotes for the floor tiling. And Flooring America was one of them that did provide a quote. Arizona Tile, I talked to a person there, they were supposed to come out and give us a quote. They did not do so. And we're going to recommend that we go with a floor tiling project, Flooring America, at a cost of $1,645. And we're also going to ask Flooring America, and I've already talked to a rep there, that we would like them to come in and get that tiling done over spring break. And we think that can be done. So I would ask the board, again, this is something that is below bid requirements. You don't have to bid it out, but we did get a couple quotes. I'm going to recommend the board award this project to Flooring America at $1,645 so we can get that scheduled over spring break, get it done.
Okay. Questions, comments on this? Okay, motion to award the middle school floor tile project to Flooring America at a cost of $6,945. Motion made by Brad, seconded by Mike Stahl. Call roll, please.
Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stowe, Stephanie Guerrero, Adam Peters, yes. Bradley Boyd,
Yes.
Derek Bailey's
Yes. Gym floor refinishing project.
Each summer, we have to have our gym floors refinished or put the coating on it. We have 2 companies that bid. We were not happy really with the company that did it last year. We had some issues and we just weren't real happy with the result. We're going to recommend Stalker Sports Floors do this project. They will do both of the main gym and the auxiliary gym over at Iliopolis for a total of $5,450. So we're going to recommend the board take action and do that contract with Stalker Sports. Mr. Meadows also talked with Stalker about the day is coming that the high school gym floor will have to be resanded and lined and all of that. Generally, you want to try to put that off for as long as you can because you've only got about 3 sandings of the gym floor. And then you're talking about a complete replacement of the gym floor. So you want to stretch the life of the gym floor out for as long as possible. We think that we can get by at least another year with just doing the coating on it. But just, Mr. Meadows had to get a price for what it would take to do that floor, and it came in at like $15,200 just for the high school floor to sand it down and reline it and do all that. Again, I wouldn't recommend spending that money right now. I think you need to get as much life as you can out of the gym floor. I think you can probably go another year or so with it that way. We're just, Mr. Meadows and I talked, and we want to recommend that you just do the $5,450.
How many times this one been sanded? Anybody know?
I don't know, Mr. Meadows looked at it, and he thinks, you want to tell him what you found?
Yeah, I went to one of the thresholds of the doorway that goes up into the band room, and you can see down in there, there's a space that you can see the thickness of the hardwood, and it's close to an inch, so I think we have life left in it to take it completely down and paint it, but, I don't know, it's not been done, I think it was just repainted at consolidation, I don't think it was sanded in, so. But the boards are starting to cup, and that needs to be, we're gonna have to do it eventually.
So when can they do this, right as soon as school's out, or?
It will be a summer project. And what we're doing, what we're recommending, is that they do an oil base on it. I think one of the things we had a problem with in the past, and last year in particular, and I'm not sure why, but they had used a water-based stain to put on it or protectant. That water base won't cut it for as long. We weren't happy, we saw some swirls in the floor, and it just, come to find out, they put one coat of water sealant on it. And, well, we knew that wasn't going to cut it, so we called them, and the company came back and put a second coat on it. Again, it was water-based. And the thing with it is, the company then wanted to charge us additional for that. And I told them, we're not paying you to come back and do the job right, when you should have done it right the first time. And so we didn't pay any additional for that. But Stalker Floors, and they do a lot of the gyms in the area, I talked to the other superintendents. The only problem with the oil is we're not going to be able to get on that floor for at least a week. It's got to set up and it's got to be left alone for about a week. There's a quicker turnaround with the water. You can, in 24 to 48 hours, they can put the water down and be playing on it. But we're better off to do it right, to get the oil base, stay off of it for a week, week and a half, and let it settle. And I think that shine, and I think everything will last longer if you do it this way.
Well, it should keep it coming to them too.
Good. I mean, I think it's going to be a better quality. And interestingly, when I looked at the price differential, Stalker Flooring was still cheaper doing the oil than the other company was doing the water. Don't quite understand that, but that's how it turned out.
Anybody have any questions, comments on the board? If not, entertain a motion to award the gym floor refinishing contract to Stalker Sports Floors with a total cost for 3 gyms at $54.50. Motion made by Mike, is there a second? Seconded by Ken, roll please.
Kate Bramall,
Yes.
Mike Stowe,
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero,
Yes.
Pat Peters, yes, Brett Toll,
Yes.
and Lee yes.
Consider athletic training contract. Well, we're going to table that.
There's an item K you need to go to.
Oh, nursing, okay. Consider the renewal of nursing contract, sorry about that.
We've been using St. Mary's Hospital, and Mr. Fowler looked at the comparison between St. Mary's and Decatur Memorial, and both of those submitted quotes. St. Mary's went at $40 an hour, the annual cost of $15,200. Decatur Memorial came in at $30.96 per hour at an annual cost of $11,764. I would recommend that we get a 2-year contract to BMH for a total savings of $34.36.
And there was also, with St. Mary's, if there were hours above the contracted hours, St. Mary's they were gonna jump their cost to $45 an hour. And DMH said that if they go above, the base hours, they will also bill us at $30.96 an hour. So it was a better deal all the way around going with DMH.
Any questions, comments there? We need a motion to enter into a contract with Carroll Memorial Hospital to provide nursing services for Sangamon Valley for the 15, 16, 17 school years. Motion made by Kim, second by Stephanie, call the roll, please.
Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stowe,
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero,
Yes.
Ed Peters, yes. Brad Santola,
Yes.
Larry Williams, yes.
And now, consider athletic training.
We're gonna recommend you table that tonight. We had received information that due to cost, in the past, DMA provided athletic training services to us at no cost. Well, they had then submitted a proposal to us for a certain amount per hour for athletic training. But since the board packet, they had contacted Coach Myers and said that they were looking at doing it for the next 5 years at no cost. But I want them to put that in writing before we take any action. So we're waiting on something in writing from DMH to do that before we make any kind of commitment. So I've asked, there's no rush on that right now, I asked you to table that tonight. We'll revisit that when we have their word of writing.
Want to make one motion to table that?
Well, I'm just gonna take action on it.
Okay. Okay. As for the recommendation of the administration, we need to set a date for the reorganizational meeting of the board. So we need a motion to set a reorganizational meeting of the Board of Education for April 29, 2015 at 6 p.m. So, motion made by Thad, seconded by Mike Stahl. Call roll, please.
Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stowe,
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero,
Yes.
Ed Peters, yes. Brad Santola,
Yes.
Larry Williams,
Anything else before we go to closed session here?
We do have to have a student discipline hearing, and we'll need the board to name a hearing officer.
Okay.
I need Leonard.
Okay. Have a motion made, Leonard Williams, the hearing officer for the student discipline hearing. So moved. She made a motion to second, call for it. Okay, call roll, please.
Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stowe, yes. Stephanie Guerrero, Ed Peters, yes. Brad Santola,
Yes.
Larry Williams.
Yes. Okay, that's good, that's good.
You need to get a vote for
Closed session.
Sir? Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stowe,
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero,
Yes.
Ed Peters, yes. Brad Santola,
Yes.
Larry Williams.
Yes. Motion to accept the closed session minutes for the closed session. Motion made by Stephanie, seconded by Kim, call roll, please.
Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stowe,
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero,
Yes.
Ed Peters, yes. Brad Santola,
Yes.
Larry Williams.
Yes. Motion to find student number SV 2014-15-5 guilty of gross disobedience and misconduct.
So moved.
Motion made by Kim, seconded by Stephanie, call roll, please.
Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stowe, Stephanie Guerrero,
Yes.
Ed Peters, yes. Brad Santola,
Yes.
Larry Williams.
Yes. Need a motion to expel students number SV 2014-15-5 through the end of the 15-16 school year.
So moved.
Motion made by Kim, seconded by Brad Santola.
Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stowe,
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero,
Yes.
Ed Peters, yes. Brad Santola,
Yes.
Larry Williams.
Yes. Motion to hold, we need a motion to hold the expulsion of student number SV 2014-15-5 in abeyance pending successful completion of alternative education program and satisfactory fulfillment of the memorandum of understanding developed by the district administrators. Motion made by Mike Stahl, second by Stephanie Guerrero. Call roll, please.
Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stella,
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero,
Yes.
Pat Peters, yes, Brad Santola,
Yes.
Larry Williams.
Yes. Need a motion to accept the resignation of Sam Jemison as transportation director effective March 15th.
So moved.
Motion made by Kim, second by Brad. Call roll, please.
Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stella,
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero,
Yes.
Pat Peters, yes, Brad Santola,
Yes.
Larry Williams.
Stand. Need a motion to terminate the employment of Wendy Patton as high school basketball cheerleading coach effective immediately.
So moved.
Motion made by Kim. Second.
I'll second.
Second by Thad. Call roll, please.
Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stella,
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero, Pat Peters, yes, Brad Santola,
Yes.
Larry Williams.
Yes. Need a motion to adopt a resolution in reference to the honorable dismissal of certain educational support personnel, Rachel Clark, as presented, and that the superintendent be authorized and directed to deliver or cause to be delivered the notice to the employee as specified in the resolution. Here, make that motion. So, motion made by Thad, second by Brad Santola. Call roll, please.
Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stella,
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero,
Yes.
Pat Peters, yes, Brad Santola,
Yes.
Larry Williams.
Yes. Need a motion to employ Jason Hartwig as full-time custodian.
So moved.
It's a motion made by Stephanie, second by Kim. Call roll, please.
Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stella,
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero,
Yes.
Pat Peters, yes, Brad Santola,
Yes.
Larry Williams.
Yes. Need a motion to employ Brittany Gallant as ag teacher for the 2015-2016 school year. Motion made by Mike Stahl, seconded by Brad Santola. Call roll, please.
Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stella,
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero,
Yes.
Pat Peters, yes, Brad Santola,
Yes.
Larry Williams. Yes.
Larry, you need to back up, there's a part-time custodian that you need to have a,
Oh, I got it. Oh, well, I wrote that, the other volunteer person over the top of it there, I guess. Need a motion to employ Leonard Weaver as a part-time custodian. Motion made by Mike Stahl, seconded by Stephanie. Call roll, please. Sorry about that.
Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stella,
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero,
Yes.
Pat Peters, yes, Brad Santola,
Yes.
Larry Williams. Yes.
Okay, now we need a motion to employ Rachel, Manning as an unpaid volunteer middle school track coach. Motion made by Brad Santola, seconded by Mike Stahl. Call roll, please.
Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stella,
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero,
Yes.
Pat Peters, yes, Brad Santola,
Yes.
Larry Williams.
Yes. Need a motion to employ Haley Pack as special education teacher for the 2015-2016 school year. Motion made by Stephanie, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Pat. Call roll, please.
Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stella,
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero,
Yes.
Pat Peters, yes, Brad Santola,
Yes.
Larry Williams.
Yes. Need a motion to employ Ryan Flexler as transportation director starting on March 30, 2015.
So moved.
Motion made by Kim, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Thad. Call roll, please.
Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stella,
I'll abstain.
Stephanie Guerrero,
Yes.
Pat Peters, yes, Brad Santola,
Yes.
Larry Williams.
Yes. Need a motion to transfer Eric O'Brien to library supervisor effective for the 2015-2016 school year. Motion made by Stephanie, seconded by Kim. Call roll, please.
Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stella,
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero,
Yes.
Pat Peters, yes, Brad Santola,
Yes.
Larry Williams.
Yes. Need a motion to retain Eric O'Brien as district treasurer for the 2015-2016 school year.
So moved.
Motion made by Kim, seconded by Mike Stahl. Call roll, please.
Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stella,
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero,
Yes.
Pat Peters, yes, Brad Santola,
Yes.
Larry Williams.
Yes. Need a motion to grant leave to Ashley Cognac under an FMLA effective approximately March 26, 2015, for a period of time not to exceed 12 weeks from maternity purposes.
Motion.
Motion made by Brad, seconded by Stephanie. Call roll, please.
Kim Brown,
Yes.
Mike Stella,
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero,
Yes.
Pat Peters, yes, Brad Santola,
Yes.
Larry Williams. Yes.
Don't have anything else?
we do have one item of other business, just to know that we received a Freedom of Information Act request from Mr. Oakley, who's not here tonight. It was kind of an odd request. He requested was sure that this is one of the odder requests I've received, so I forwarded, it is in the hands of our attorney.
What's that gonna cost?
I talked to the attorney today, that'll be a $110 charge.
Just for looking at that. Okay, anybody have anything else? Somebody entertain a motion to adjourn? Motion made by Stoner, second by Lawrence, Cole, all in favor say aye. Opposed, thank you very much.